we have reached here the union budget presented by our Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, and this is the 8th consecutive time she is doing it. Okay, and the third round of our government under the Prime Ministership of Sri Narendra Modi, right? So in another 2 years or 3 years, we are going to have another record-breaking budget presentation. But as we go in there, what is the scenario today? How is it globally? You know, if you look at our nation, the progress, the economical growth is slumping. That's what they say. That's what I have read. Okay, and the entire global scenario, the geopolitical scenario, the trade scenario is becoming very volatile. Wherein the US is fueling it now. You know, they are imposing tariffs on the neighboring countries. The BRIC nations have been threatened. Canada has responded with 25%. Mexico is planning to do 10% and some other things. And just now I read in the news that China has increased tariffs by 15% on US imports. So, what is going to happen to India? Now, our budget probably has taken into consideration all of these scenarios, and made our economy more resilient to volatility. And it has also taken care of the middle class by giving tax rebates. It is also focusing on infrastructure, developing it, and also focused on certain sectors, bringing in reforms and everything. So that is what we will get to know now, right? So with this note, I will start off the panel discussion, and for the sake of everybody's understanding, we will have a couple of questions asked to each of our panel members here, and we will have about 2 minutes for each question to be answered. Okay? And once we are done with this, then we will open it up for you for your questions. So that is how we are intending to go with this. So the first question will be to Sudhakar ji. So now we've been hearing about this 12 lakhs exemption or 12 lakhs and 75,000 rupees exemption on income tax. Okay? But at the same time, we have been seeing that there are tax slabs starting right from 4 lakh onwards. Number one, when there is no tax from until 12 lakhs, why is there a tax slab? That is number one. And number two, when they say that middle class is going to be, benefited the most, how does the Indian government define this middle class?
Yeah, so very good question has been asked. So guys, first in India, so earlier if you are taking 10 years back or 15 years back, only the agriculture was the main source of India for the GDP. Okay, so now globally, if you see India has become more kind of service-based industry. Okay, so that now the government of India, more emphasizing on the manufacturing sector also. So this budget, so before I answer that question, sir, so this budget is concentrated not only on the, we have capital expenditures or, fiscal policies and other things and all, but they have touched upon all the areas of the society. So be it the manufacturing sector, be it the agricultural sector, be it service sector, and then the main important thing that they have taken into as MSMEs. Okay, they have increased the threshold turnover limit from 100 crores to 500 crores. Okay, why? So India want to become, so place one to China. Okay, so if you are going only these kind of scenarios in India, probably in the next 5 years or 6 years, you are going to see India as only the world will see India as only as a service-based country, not as a manufacturing-based country. Okay, so to add on that, and to the manufacturing sector also have given announced more than the incentive schemes and all they have announced in the budget. Okay, and coming back to the sir, so why there is a 4 lakhs slab? And then why there is a So middle class, how they are going to define. So in economy, we have one concept called buying capacity of the people. So earlier, before you see, during 1947 when we got the independence, do you know what is the population of our India? Anybody here? Anybody, sir? Anybody? No, sir? So 38 to 40 crores approximately. So, but at that time, the dollar rate was how much? $1 is equal to 1 rupee. Okay. So today, what's the dollar rate is been? How much? 84, 84 or 85, correct? No? So now earlier the slab was started from 2,50,000 and then it increased to 1,50,000 and then it is increased to 2,50,000, 2,50,000 again they have increased to 3 lakh rupees and 3 lakh to 4 lakh rupees it is been increased. So considering the rural areas of the India, okay, the spending capacity year on year is been going up. Okay, so the government is also defined if you go to the rural areas and all. So there is a income certificate is being given provided by the government of India, okay, or state government. So in that the minimum income is being defined at 1,20,000 at least. Okay, so for a farmers or a backward caste based and all. Okay. So considering that, okay, so year on year the cost of living is also increasing and the inflation rate is also increasing, correct? No? So any family in rural area below average earning, average earning family, they can spend almost at least 3 lakh to 4 lakh rupees per annum. Okay, easily touches. Okay, so that is the reason they have kept as a block size from 4 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees, whatever they have defined from there. And then the one more question is being added that why there is a middle class definition, sir? Correct? No? So there is no definition as called middle class, but based on your earning capacity, who will be called as middle class now? So there is a lower middle class and upper middle class. Correct? No? What is the middle class then? Those who are earning decently. Okay. So now if you are going to the corporate, earlier if you are a BCom graduate or MBA graduate, starting salary how much they are providing, sir? Earlier, so maximum starting 4-5 lakhs per annum. Now wherever the corporates you go, okay, so MBA or BCom graduates with a good communication skills and good technical skills, so you will be provided 8 lakh to 10 lakh rupees around. Okay, and if you are a CA or CMA and CS like CFA, okay, again it is a different scenarios. Okay, so that is the reason. Okay, this 12 lakh rupees, okay, it was necessary for the people who are earning at least decent salary. And then guys, 12 lakh rupees means, okay, you are not going to save that whatever the 1,10,000 rupees packet is there. Okay, so along with the rebate that you are going to get, okay, your 75,000 or 12,75,000 rupees your exemption limit. Okay, if the rebate is not there, then salary class and middle class are getting nothing under NEEM regime only. So this is under only the NEEM regime. And so one more thing that you need to keep in your mind, they are removing all the investment exemptions. There is no ATD, ATC, whatever the exemptions that you are claiming under the old regime earlier. Okay, so if you are earning 12 lakh 1 rupees, okay, then it is not 0.5% also exactly 12 lakh rupees also. If you are earning 12 lakh 1 rupees, then your entire income will be charged as per the slabs. Okay, so don't keep in mind that okay, so up to 12 lakh rupees it is there. So if you are claiming rebate, then only you are going to get that 12 lakh rupees exemption. So which is what I can say bumper to all the middle class people who are earning. So 12 lakh rupees now, and then it is motivated to the young entrepreneurs or the young salary people who are coming for the industries for the first time. Thank you.
So remember, it's better that you have below 12 lakh of income. Put this step in mind, please. I'm posting this to PhD. So the foreign direct investments in the insurance sector has changed. So it has moved from 72% to 100%. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean how is it going to affect our day-to-day life in terms of insurance, and how will it benefit people?
So very commonly we hear the coverage of insurance in India, which means how many people in India have insurance policies or they have covered their life through insurance. Traditionally, if you see, we have companies like LIC and Oriental Insurance, General Insurance and all which are operating. In last 15 years, we have seen companies like Reliance and Indiabulls and HDFC Life and ICICI Prudential and all which have come in. We also saw AIG from the US coming in, the Max, Niva, and many other companies which are, global insurance companies who are coming into India. What happened when they came in, right? When we saw the global, companies companies have been allowed into the insurance sector, the pricing of insurance reduced. Because of which the coverage of insurance also increased. So more people could buy insurance, the products were more refined, it was more towards consumer, and the spread of the product increased. Now, if you further allow more insurance companies to come into India, have higher, stake in whatever companies they're forming here, the products are more refined. There are the presence of the product increases, the coverage increases further. So the whole objective is to cover as many as people possible in India with insurance, be it life insurance, health insurance, or general insurance, right? So that is the whole objective of promoting FDI, especially in the insurance sector. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Does it also mean all this money that is going to revenue that is going to be generated is going to go out of India?
See, not really. The revenues go out of India. There's only a chunk of profit which goes out of India, right? If you see these companies coming into India and operating here, they will definitely create more jobs, obviously more insurance cover, and more money coming into the system, right? When money comes in, it's not 100% money that goes to the company. There is only certain profit that the company gets, and everybody is there for business, right? So they will definitely take out their profit, and to a good extent, they invest that profit once again in India for expansion, right? So it's not necessarily put a lot of money out of India.
Got it, sir. Thank you. So the next question will be to Sandeep. Now, considering that there are a lot of tariffs being spoken about, especially after Trump coming into power. So what is the kind of things that India might face, and how do you think this budget has tried to mitigate that kind of tariff impositions?
So absolutely. So tariffs is something which is being weaponized by the US government at this point of time, basically to get their things done. And the Indian government has been proactive. They removed a lot of GST slabs. They reduced GST because the optics were bad. The peak tariff was 150% in India, which has now been brought down to 70%. And out of the 15 different slabs, they have brought it down to 6 to 7 different slabs now. So India has been kind of proactive in this. Again, why are tariffs being brought in? It's because the US as a country, because it has the dollar as the global currency, it is able to afford a very big fiscal deficit. But having said that, there are countries like China, there are countries like Mexico, there are countries like Canada, which have billions of dollars, trillions of dollars of deficit, difference in imports and exports that are there. And the way to reduce that is what Trump is kind of looking at. But honestly, where does the tariff come from? Whose pocket is it going to cut? So initially, the tariff is a tax on the residents of that country. And the supply chains will have to kind of maneuver around those tariffs. So what does a tariff mean? So when Trump announces there is a 25% tax or a tariff, what does it mean? It means those goods will become more expensive for the residents of that country. And that tariff will actually go to the government of that country. So tariffs, but what will happen then? So then what will happen if there is something coming from Mexico or Canada or China, the other countries that do not have those tariffs, they will be encouraged to kind of export more. So it's like a double-edged sword. So while if India does not have those tariffs, India gets an opportunity to export more to the US. But then it comes out to the crosshairs as well, because its exports will grow. So that is where the entire supply chains will kind of get reorganized in that sense. And the amount of trade that happens is going to reduce. And we have to be very proactive and we have to be very observant about it, which we already are. And tariffs are, something which are going to realign the global trade that is happening. It is going to depress the trade. People will try to buy things that are produced in their own country. The efficiency levels will go down. So in my personal opinion, it is not good for the world trade. But if you want to promote your own industries, it is important as well. For example, you would have seen what's happening with steel industry in India. There has been a lot of dumping coming in from China. So a lot of the local industries have to kind of shut shop. A lot of jobs are being lost. So tariffs is a very important tool that we have to keep observing, and I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that insight. Moving forward, sir, next would be to Sudhakar. So we have been, hearing about the impact of this tax exemption of 12 lakhs. It would actually bring down the revenue of the union government by about 1 lakh crore from direct taxes, and about some 6 to 7,000 crores indirect taxes. Now, how is the indirect taxes being affected? That's the number one question. And second is, how are they going to take care of this deficit? Where are they going to make good this deficit?
Yes, sir. See, now the slabs were increased. Okay, it doesn't mean that the government of India is losing the revenue. Of course, they are foregoing. Okay, so by increasing these slabs to the 1 lakh crores, okay, the government of India is going to forego the revenue of government of India 1 lakh crore rupees. Okay, then how do you recover this? Correct. That is been she told from last 3 months. Okay, so she is the world's most the first person that told a lot, and then memes were created. Okay, so all over the world. So that is the reason in this budget she has given the best silence answer to increasing by extending this 12 lakh rupees to the middle class people. Then what will you do this 12 lakh rupees? Okay, you are running 1 lakh rupees almost. Correct? No? What will you do? 1 lakh rupees. What will you do? No? Audience? Spain. Correct? No? So we are the Indian people. What we will do? So in my my parents and all, what they used to do, if they get 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees, so they directly go and invest in the gold. So this is the typical mentality of the Indian parents till now also. If you are getting 50,000 rupees also, what they will do? They will go and purchase some gold, or they are going to purchase some household things, or they are going to purchase some the assets and all. Correct? So it is automatically it is being inflowing to the government. Correct? Yesterday we were having one more budget session in FKCCA, sir. One person rightly said, he was the best person. So I earned 1 crore rupees profit in my last financial year, out of which 30% I paid a corporate tax. Okay, and then with the 70 lakh rupees, what I do, sir? Okay, he said. So my wife said, we will go and purchase one very good, good car. So to purchase a car, again you pay road tax, you pay 28% of GST. Correct? No? So and then you pay other taxes and tariffs. Correct? No? So that way, when the savings of the people are increasing, then the spending capacity is being also being increased automatically. Correct? No? So that way, whatever the income, whatever the revenue is being foregone by the government of India, so that is going to come in the upcoming years, expected to be 16% higher than what currently the government of India is earning. And then second thing, so how do you compensate this GST collection gap and your direct tax collections? Correct. Now the India has so encouraging the more EV vehicles and other things. Correct? So when they are increasing with the subsidies for purchasing the EV vehicles and other things and all, so automatically the people will come and purchase this. Okay, and then the tax collection of the GST will also be increased, and in customs also they have given some of the tariff reliefs. Okay, on that, when you are spending more, automatically the GST collection also will come, and then your direct tax collections also will go up, sir, partially.
Thank you, sir. So moving forward to PhD. So I read that taxpayers, if you are owning a land, there is an exemption of nil showing the value of the land as nil if you're not occupying it. So what does that mean? Does it mean that if I have just one piece of land or two land in my name, that I don't have to pay taxes on them, or it's something else?
So if you look at the provisions in the income tax before this budget session, if you had 2 homes, suppose you have one home in Bangalore and you have one home in Pune, and the home in Pune is left vacant, okay? So you have an option to show as no income from that property. But if you had 2 homes in Bangalore and one home in Pune, the second home which you have in Bangalore, you have to show as a notional rental income from that property, and there was income on that. Now, what the tweak in this provision is, basically they have simplified the compliance. They said, suppose in Bangalore also you have 2 homes. In the same city, if you have 2 homes, it will be considered as self-occupied. So the notional rent from the second home will not be taxable anymore. So suppose I have a home I live in Whitefield and I have a home in Yeshwanthpur. I am expecting a rent of 30,000 as a notional rent. I was supposed to pay tax on that, even if the house is vacant. But now, after this, tweak in the income tax rules, my home in Yeshwanthpur, I don't have to show any income on that. So I save the income tax over there. So that's the change in this provision. You want to add something?
So also to add to this, the taxes that we pay, there is something called as property tax. That is the only tax that goes to the local government. But honestly, in India, the taxation on real estate is comparatively low. Because globally, the property tax actually pays for a lot of the local services. So if you go to a country like the US, the schools, the hospitals, the fire stations, these are all funded by the property tax. And in India, actually, this amount may or may not directly be used, but there are other subsidies that also come. And the property tax is not that high in India, that is one. The second thing that India does not have is it does not have rent tax and it does not have inheritance tax. So these are also pretty steep globally, which we don't have to pay in India.
Thank you for that insight, sir. So moving forward to Sandeep ji. Now, if at all we are increasing the spending capacity of people, okay, people are going to buy more, so there will be, potentially increase in prices of goods because there is more people buying. So would this amount to inflation, or how is that dynamics work?
Absolutely. So if there is more demand and supply does not catch up, it will lead to inflation. So the key here is, while demand is growing, you should also focus on the supply aspects of it. You need more manufacturing, you need more production, you need better seed quality, you need to support farmers, insurance has to be there. So all those aspects have to be intertwined by leaving money in the pockets of consumers. Because if you only leave the money in the pocket of consumers and they're all fighting for the same number of goods, what's going to happen? Inflation is going to go up. If inflation goes up, what will the government do? They will increase the interest rates. If the interest rate goes up, again, it is for people who are taking loans, for businesses, it is bad. So this is all very, very intertwined and absolutely right. So the government has to take holistic actions, which they are doing. While you are increasing the amount of money that is available, you also have to focus on production, manufacturing, services. All of that has to go hand in hand.
Thank you, sir. So next question to Sudhakar ji. Now we have, say, the tax collected at the source for loans. Okay. First of all, if you would just enlighten us about tax on loans. That is one. I've only heard of interest, at least in the prima facie thing. I've heard earlier about interest being collected. So tax on loans, and it's been reduced for education loans up to 10 lakhs. So what does this mean?
Tax and loan is one thing that usually all the banks charges, correct? But what is the takeaway for the students? They take education loan, correct? So now we want to target to out of India for the education. So we need 10 lakh rupees, it is not possible. So at least minimum 20 lakh, 25 lakh rupees you need to get your loan. So then only you are able to target to abroad education loans and all. Yes. Then so the interest whatever it is being charged by the banks, okay? So you can claim the exemptions on entire interest parts. So there is no limit, okay? So that if you are taking the 50 lakh rupees loan, okay? So on whose name it is being taken, let us say your parents has taken, correct? You don't have any income source. So your parents can claim, okay? Interest housing, education loan interest, whatever the per annum interest is coming, so that completely can be taken as a deduction while filing the returns. So there is only benefit that the education loan is going to have.
Yes, sir. That clarifies it. So moving on, next question to PhD. So during the special training which was opened on the 1st of February during the budget presentation, there was certain reactions from the market. The Sensex closed at 5 points high, which was very, not very optimistic, it was pretty flat. And the Nifty, again, dipped 26 points. So what does this trend mean?
So, see, my take on this might be very different from probably the other gentlemen in the panel. But I'll tell you how things have evolved in our country for the last few years. So from last 3 years, we have only seen and students will disagree with me, please tell me here, okay? In the last 3 years, we have only seen the stock markets going up, right? So everybody, earlier we used to say, we go to Bombay and you see even the Russia. But now in India, which university, you will have tier 2, tier 3, tier 1 students, everybody will talk about stock market, right? Which means the participation of the domestic investors has increased greatly in the Indian market. And there are no more knee-jerk reactions that happen in the stock market, right? The FIIs are minimal, so whatever you are seeing in the last few months is because of the changes in the US government and the tariffs and all that. Because of this, the reactions are happening, and FIIs are pulling out their money. Because of this, the markets are fluctuating. But the domestic investors, be it the individual, institutional investors in the Indian market or the retail investors, none of them are doing any knee-jerk reactions. So the budget came. The finance minister was speaking, the market was trading like a usual market, It was not giving any knee-jerk reactions because people wanted to read the details of what is happening, what has been proposed, what is the vision, and then react, right? So, in my opinion, the movement of the stock market on the day of budget is irrelevant now. It doesn't really make too much of sense or relate too much to the sentiments of the reaction on the budget, right? That's my opinion.
Sandeep, your thoughts?
So it could also mean something that the market kind of got a budget that was expected or like expected as, and whatever the impact was already priced in. So which is where our budget day we really didn't see much movement over there. But again, predicting stock markets is very difficult, and it's something that. But again, macro picture is a lot of retail capital is entering into the stock markets. More than 24,000 crores per month has been coming into mutual fund funds. And of course, the FIIs are kind of moving out. So these are the macro things that are happening, and that's what it is.
But on a short term, I think it's going to dip down, is what I have read. Maybe only long term growth is anticipated.
No comments.
I'll add to this. Actually, if you see, because there was a lot of focus on the agriculture sector in the budget, you actually saw the agriculture stocks moving ahead, right? And what you read, there will be an impact on the stock market going up, going down. Trust me, we are nobody. The stock markets are controlled by certain sector of people and certain businesses. Whatever you predict, nothing can go right in the stock market. I think everybody will agree at least on this here.
But what you can go right is do invest for the long term. It's always going to grow, and don't have knee-jerk things because it's a great place to invest, but in the long term. And don't. I would request everybody here not to do short-term trading. That is something that is I am personally against that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I'll add that one
Sure,
second.
sure, please.
It's very important because he just made a very good point. Please don't engage yourself in short-term trading. It is not for retail. It is not for people like us. People who are qualified CFAs or people who are actually managing the market. People who are managing funds are the people who still fear doing a short-term trading. But people like us, I think.
It's not that we manage the market, it's just that there are large fund houses out there with hundreds of young students, old students like you, educated people who are tracking this day in and day out. So whatever you do, it kind of gets a little bit of a gambling, but in the long term, do have a thesis and invest, spread your investments across multiple investment classes, diversify. Definitely do invest, don't do short-term trading because there are people with deep analytics out there. There is so much AI coming into this today that the small guy can never win in this trade. So stay away from it is what I would definitely recommend.
Sure, please.
One more addition. It's a very interesting topic. So when he's talking about long term, invest in companies which are blue chip, which are going to be there for a very long time, right? Which you have been hearing about, thinking about, for a very long time. It keeps you safe. Don't fall into Telegram tips or Instagram tips or YouTube tips. It usually doesn't work in your favor, right? So invest in very long term, which means about 5 to 7 years is what is the minimum vision that you should have whenever you're investing in a stock. And please prefer companies which are more established companies until you become that knowledgeable that you can really trade with stocks. Thank you.
So just a follow-up on this. In fact, I keep getting advertisements while I'm watching YouTube about learning to invest using AI. Because it is 70% times right. So what is your thought about that?
I'll put my thought in. Okay. Now see, what does AI do? Okay, AI is a machine. What does a machine do? It pulls up data. Where does it pull up data from? From a data set which has been given to it, or from internet, right? AI as a machine is able to derive some information out of the data, very quickly. So it's good. Read, get information. Don't always act on it. Because the data which AI is giving is also being created by somebody, right? The data might be true, but whether it will last for a very long time, we don't know because the markets are too dynamic. The company phenomena is too dynamic. How the market is working is extremely dynamic. So while AI is very good, these data which has been given by whatever the AI is choosing from whichever platform is good. Good to read this information, good to see these videos for a knowledge sake. We should not make our investment decisions based on the data that we see on YouTube or any AI based data. Yeah.
So there's something called as the efficient market hypothesis. That if there is a temporary advantage that is happening, it will very soon get, it will get smoothened out. And when it gets smoothened out, then you will be on the other side of the fence. And you may lose whatever you have made before or even more so. Be careful of that.
Thank you for that insight, sir. So, moving on, I think, sir, a question to you. So, the finance minister on Saturday, she said that she's bringing in new income tax bill. So, what is the whole concept of the new income tax bill, and what does that make you expect?
See, earlier, before implementing GST, we had service tax, we had excise revenue is also there, we had VAT. So whenever you are purchasing a commodity or whatever the product, so it is being taxed more than one time, twice or thrice. If you are purchasing a product in Karnataka, so and then same product if you are purchasing in Andhra Pradesh or Tamil Nadu or Kerala, wherever in India, it is different. Okay, it was different. And then second thing was, when you are purchasing, service tax is one thing, and second thing is VAT. Okay, if you are purchasing a books in Karnataka, the VAT was imposed 14.5 or 5.5%. The same thing again if you are purchasing in the neighbor states, the rates would be different. Okay, and then when you are importing the goods also, so there are the custom charges, BCD, CVD, and then again education cess, service tax. Okay, and then Krishi Kalyan, there's so many taxes were there. So this is what we call the cascading effect of the tax. So when the GST was implemented, the main motto of implementing the GST is, the GST motto or objective is one nation, one tax. So now you purchase the same product in Karnataka, it is same price. Now you purchase the same product in other state, it is same. So this is how the tax reforms are happening in India. So we are example, okay, so in CA, so we have acts, okay, Indian Contract Act is there. So we have Indian Contract Act 1872, very good, okay. So anybody CA students here? CA or CMA CA students? Nobody? Yeah, okay. Why we are following that, madam? 1872. Indian Contract Act 1872.
Sir, I am actually a lawyer. So
Very good,
during my
yeah.
post study, I went through the laws, the Companies Act,
Very good.
Innovations 2013 being the latest, and then legal contract and
Yeah.
all those.
So why? Because but we got independence when 1947. But we are following the Act, Indian Contract Act 1872. Why it is correct? So that is the reason. So whatever the laws are applicable, that we are blindly following up. So cut paste it is. The same way the Indian Income Tax Act 1961. Now we are in 2025. So we have more than 270 sections in income tax. More than 270 sections. If you go any foreigners and ask you about your Indian taxation system, so they will get confused. So how will you remember all these sections? Correct? No? So example, so section 54 in HP. We have an income tax. There are 5 major bits. So that is income from salary, income from house property, income from capital gains, and then PGPP and then other incomes. Correct? No? All are having separate sections. Correct? And in separate sections, example section 54. And then again, so if you want to read further, further they are divided as subsections. Again, they are further divided as clause. That clause is being divided again subclause. Again, if you further if you want to define the sections, again it is being when the clause section 1, section subsection 2. Class 1, subclass 2, again item number 1, 2, 3, 4, like that it goes. So who will remember? Correct, no? Yes or no? So that next to our class, we will not remember our class teachers only. Correct, no? Yes or no? So then how will you remember so many sections? So that is the reason now it is the time to change the direct tax also. So earlier they were taught that direct tax code will come. So there is no direct tax code. Okay, the Income Tax Act 2025 will become. So from 1961. So this is a major reason, and then so they are making very simpler. Okay, so that for our profession again. Okay, it is we may have to rethink that. Okay, so what to do with the upcoming years. Okay, they are going to reform easy tax, ease of doing business. Okay, that is the main reason, sir.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. So when will this all be implemented? When will this come into effect? All of these announcements in the budget?
Yes, sir. Okay, so probably this weekend or maximum by 3rd week of February. Okay, so everything will be coming into the as official gazette notification, and in implication from 1st April 2025 itself. Yes.
Right. Thank you, sir. So we have reached the end of our panel discussion, and the final question, and this question is to all the panelists here. So we have seen so many things in the budget. Now, if I want you to be a critique and say that I would want to change something in this, what would be that one thing that you would want to change in this budget, or you think would like to see differently in this budget? So let's start from Piyush.
See, I'm a very strong believer of the impact of real estate in the society. I'll tell you why. Suppose a builder is building a building, okay? So, builder is getting a job, laborers are getting jobs, you have the organization within the builder who is getting a job, a sanitary ware supplier, a marble, stone, etc., a lawyer. So we'll have almost everybody here who has some or the other way, their parents are linked to a job within the real estate sector. It is extremely important for the government to ensure that the real estate sector every time has been given some boost. Whether it's a budget or any GST change or any tweak, they should always consider real estate sector as a very important sector and keep on giving some or the other boost every time. Because when that happens, you are directly influencing the economy. Because it has a great, for example, agriculture, like how they focus on agriculture all the time, it's very important the government starts thinking that in every budget, the real estate sector has to be thoroughly looked upon and some value additions have to be there. So when I look at what happened in this budget really, consumption will be there, there will be more money coming into the market, but a person who's earning a 12 lakhs per annum salary would not necessarily be buying a home. And when he's not necessarily buying a home, there is not necessarily growth in the real estate. Maybe in a tier 3, tier 4 city this will impact, but not in a tier 1, tier 2 kind of city. That's my criticism of the budget this year.
So
two things. So one that I'm very concerned about is, unfortunately, what India has not been able to do till today is take a holistic, synergistic view of manufacturing. So what do I mean by that? So if you look at countries like China, if you were to manufacture something like a mobile phone or a TV or a car, the entire supply chain should support completely for the manufacturing of that car. So right from a door handle to a mirror to all the parts, and multiple companies have to be together and work in unison for that. And not just that, even the supply chain, where you source your steel from, where you source your plastics from, someone has to take an integrated view. How are your ports kind of working, how are your roads kind of working, where are you getting the people from? So that is what China has done, it's called cluster manufacturing, like you have Tirupur and closed manufacturing. So that is something that I think the government should put more emphasis on, that's one. And the second important thing that I see is the debt of the government has been ballooning, which is kind of being a little bit more action needs to be done on that. If you see where is the money being spent, while we've all been discussing where is the money coming in from, but has someone put a lens on where is the money going? Believe me, the largest component of that after the distribution to the states, which is 22%, is 20% just goes for interest costs. So that is a cost that is falling on the government year on year, because we have not been, we've not been frugal with our expenses in the past. And that is something that is continuing to kind of grow, and it has really grown over the last few years, which is of concern to me.
So just to follow up to that, so I've heard that our former RBI governor Rajan always emphasize that India is a service-based economy rather than manufacturing economy, and always criticize the government's policies on promoting manufacturing. And that is not a cup of tea, is what is being told. So, what's your take on that? Is that so, or is there a?
No, absolutely. So we have been saved because of the services sector, and this budget has also given certain benefits to GCCs. So I think Bangalore being the hub of GCCs, we have almost 1,700 GCCs going to double over the next 5 years. It's a great story going. Having said that, we cannot just rely on one engine, because suddenly something will come. Today AI has come. It will reduce the requirement of services. But it cannot, while robotics is already there, it has reduced the requirement for manufacturing as well. There should be multiple engines that are driving growth. And a majority of our population is still on the farms. And the way to remove them from the farms cannot directly get them into air-conditioned offices. There has to be a transitionary movement up the social ladder. And personally, I believe manufacturing cannot be ignored.
Thank you, sir. So, on to you.
First, I was expected this budget, okay, to be spent more on the R&D part, okay, because our government of India, nowhere they are talking about the R&D. So, as Sandeep said, so we have to be focused on the multiple engines, correct? So, way to focus next is manufacturing only, okay? To do the manufacture, okay, the procurement of the raw materials is higher than the producing, okay? When you are, the government really has to look into that, how to reduce the cost of production, okay? So then only the India will going to, compete with China in terms of your, manufacturing sector, okay? So whatever the, toys or the cars that you name now, okay? Example, BYD is in, China, correct? So in India also it is, taking the market, okay, more than, so 3-4%, correct? So it's the initial years. So think about the future, then the, electric, okay, and then your petrol, diesel and everything, correct? So to make sure this, the government of India has to concentrate more on the skill development, one thing, and it have announced more, skill development programs, but execution is not happening properly. So what is skill development? When you compare with the, other countries and, our countries, what we do, so we always be in the mobile phones, our youth especially, correct? So and then there is no skill development. So we have interviewed top 10 colleges in Bangalore, okay, last few months back. So all are well graduates. They are in final year at the age of completing their postgraduates. Okay, a single candidate we have not selected. Why? Because due to the skill. Okay, what is skill? Again, so they are defined, correct? So that it is not only so technology based, okay, manufacturing based are there, okay, and then your service based are there, okay. So when you are developing your proper skill setup, then only the India can come out of this manufacturing whatever the gap we are finding, okay. So that actually really I expected from the government of India regarding the R&D and all, okay. Until R&D, they spend more on R&D and in how to reduce the cost of production in the manufacturing sector. So we will not be able to go as fast as China. To make one plus China, so that we are the only one country in the world, okay. So where the growth aspects of all the world is same. So that that is my perspective on this.
Got it, sir. It is an interesting perspective. I think that is what Rahul Gandhi is doing, talking about how it is being used. So, interesting conversation, interesting insights. Students, I hope you all benefited from this. Now, before we close, we have just enough time for maybe about 2 or 3 questions. Any of you with a question? Can somebody pass on the mic to the ones who are having a question? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I have a sector-specific question. During the budget speech, we did hear the finance minister speaking a lot about promotion of EVs to battery manufacturing and charging infrastructure. Are there any provisions listed in the final print of the budget where any benefits have been given for the promotion of commercial logistic EVs?
Could you just repeat that last bit? Keep your mic closer.
In the final print of the budget, are there any provisions for the promotion of commercial vehicles as EVs?
Sir, specifically, okay, so there is no, okay, provisions or, okay, benefits is being given, but, so all over India, they are already providing subsidies on the EVs, okay, and then they are going to reduce the direct GSTs on the EVs. So this is the one thing that they are going to promote. And second thing, promoting the logistics specifically, so they have come up with the, okay, so UDAN concept, sir. Okay, so with this, the Air India and Indigo, whatever the logistics are there, okay, the tourism, okay, including tourism, so they have given some benefits in this budget. Yeah.
I'll just add specific to, because you asked about EVs, so the government hasn't defined the use of EV to specific sector like, battery only for scooter or battery only for a car or battery only for a commercial vehicle. Obviously, the desire of the government is eventually have all the commercial vehicles either running on biofuel or EV or ethanol or whatever is the more energy saving system. So what they have done in the process of manufacturing of batteries, there are a lot of items which have to be imported, right? So they have removed customs on a lot of those items. I think 28 items or so which have been listed, for which a manufacturer of a battery had to pay custom duty on. So that is removed. What happens to that? It directly reduces the cost of manufacturing of the battery, right? So if we actually read around what provisions the government has done on the EV side, there are a lot of items on which the customs have been removed and duties have been removed, which actually promotes the entire EV sector at large, right? So it will definitely benefit the commercial vehicles also in this way.
Thank you.
Our investment banker over there. So Vishal, yeah.
Sir, my question is, why is the Indian currency is depreciating and what are the key measures to take to stabilize it?
Could you keep the mic closer and be louder, please?
Sir, my question is, why is the Indian currency is depreciating and what are the key measures to take on it stabilize the
Indian currency depreciating and what are the measures to stabilize it?
So again, what happens is it also depends on a lot of factors. Of course, as you're aware that the currency is kind of depreciating, but what is it? Why is it caused and what does it imply for us? So if the currency is depreciating, actually you are able to export more because production becomes cheaper in the country, and that would actually lead to more jobs as well. So for example, when the dollar versus rupee was 60 rupees or 40 rupees, there was a certain salary that used to be paid in India, and that was much higher than what it is today at 87 rupees. But then what does it mean for us? So while it increases the number of employment opportunities in India, it means that technically in your pocket, if you were to buy foreign goods, you become poorer as part of that. And it's always more balance of payments and things like that because of which the currency is fluctuating. Does that answer your question?
And one more thing I'll add just here. See guys, there is a saying, beta jo bolega, data nahi. Okay? So, with regards to the depreciating the currencies, okay, as compared to India, so if you are comparing Brazil currency, Mexican currency and other currencies, okay, from past 5 years, the India depreciated currency only 2.8% only, not more than this. Okay, so the Brazil has depreciated changes in more than 20%. Okay, and then the Mexico it will change more than 25-30%. Okay, so since we have a stable government, okay, so that our depreciating the currency, okay, so is as good as very minimal it is. So that is what I want to add.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to, present the same point, Vishal. Very interesting question actually. Yesterday, if you saw the rupee depreciated about 58%, right? So these are all knee-jerk reactions which is happening because of the global phenomena. What is happening in the US has actually disturbed the scheme of things across the world, right? And very important point which Sudhakar mentioned is the comparables. You have to see how your currency is behaving compared to the other countries which are, comparable to India, right? We are still much better than how most of the countries are performing, right? So our, currency has not really depreciated that much when it compared to the rest of the world. So we are still in a safe zone as of now. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question. So regarding the holistic development of human resources as well as social justice, we have seen year-on-year initiatives being taken by the government for every financial year. So what do you think the implications this particular budget of this financial year has towards strengthening the labor laws in India, particularly pertaining to the unorganized sector, for example, the gig workers?
So actually, the whole world is moving towards the gig workers. That is definitely there. And labor laws, again, everything that has its positives, which is very good to protect. It's very important to have a base minimum. But you should not overdo it either, because then it makes the entire economy non-competitive. So it's important, while regulations are important to safeguard the basic hygiene and the basic human justice that is meted out to the employees and to the population at large. It is also very important to balance it against global competitiveness as well. So I think there is an important balance that has been maintained. Of course, government has taken a lot of focus on youth, on women in this budget, and they try to focus on how do you create MSMEs, how do you support farmers, because that is where a lot of people in India, they are self-entrepreneurs. They are people who do their own work. And that is a segment that has really suffered, in my opinion, in the past, and this budget has tried to alleviate some of those. And a lot of credit has been kind of taken out, and a lot of loans are kind of being offered to them. Funds have started coming in. So the budget has tried to alleviate that, and it has recognized that this is a problem. And if you do not cater to this segment, the spending will not increase, and the GDP will stagnate. So I think there has been some focus. Let's see how it pans out. Let's see the effect of all of this going forward.
So why has the government not been able to ensure the proper implementation of the initiatives or whatever steps it has been taking over the years for the strengthening of the labor laws, particularly to the organized and unorganized sector? What do you think are the loopholes?
See, here is the thing, like I mentioned, the government has to strike a fine balance between too much regulation, which will stifle industry and will kind of, jeopardize your GDP and your growth of the country and the production of the country, versus human justice. So as you are aware, there used to be a lot of stringent laws earlier around many industries, but that has kind of killed the industries itself. So the government has a fine balancing act to play, and it has to look at all aspects of what kind of regulations are you bringing in, and so those things have to be balanced, and I think that's where it's important. Countries like China have grown on the back of lax labor laws, and that's how they have grown. But countries like US, where the laws are so stringent, the entire manufacturing industry died because of that. So these are fine balances that the government has to always take into consideration.
So for the first time, if you actually heard Nirmala Sitharaman speaking, there's a mention of gig workers. Right? The first time in any budget or any country, the gig workers have been specifically recognized. And the government proposes to include a lot of schemes for the gig workers, right? Which means, providing them identity cards, giving them health benefits through the Pradhan Mantri Yojana is there. That's one. Right? Second, see what happens, understand what kind of country we are living in, right? We are not a dictatorship, we are not a kingdom, right? We are a democracy, right? And there are different levels. It's a bottom down, right? So Nirmala says something, the finance secretary says something, it goes down to the state level, to the district level, to the president level. Chinese whisper, right? How Chinese whisper works. So there is an intent, there is an attempt, right? There are actions. It is quite difficult for a country of our scale, country of this size, country of so many politicians and democracy to implement everything in letter and spirit, right? There is an attempt. There is an intent. People are doing things. But we people of India are the people who are the biggest, we are stopping this to happen. Because everybody has their own interest. If it was a dictatorship like China, and it was done, right? In India it cannot be. he says, "नहीं ये नहीं करना तो नहीं करना है." There will be a union, against everything. So India has its own challenges, right? India is trying to counter that. The new generation which is developing now is more educated, more learned, more exposed, has internet, understand things. 20 years back it was not there. So people who are in their 40s, 50s now are still, especially in the rural tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, are still not so inclined towards development of the country at large. But the new generation will be. When it will be, these things will, follow through. This will come to the next, last level also. That's my opinion on this.
So for unorganized sector, labor sectors, okay, now the government of India from last 4-5 years, they have started issuing the e-Shram card. Okay, so I myself, okay, so in my village, so I belong from a small village from Doddaballapur. To travel to bus stand, okay, so I was walking from my village to bus stand 2 kilometers. Okay, so all are unorganized sectors only. Okay, for them now they are providing the e-Shram card. So if you are, it is very simple process. Okay, so it will link with your Aadhaar card, and then it is covered with your health insurance also, and they will be notified. Okay, so more than 150, 160 hospitals in state-wise. Okay, so you go directly there. Okay, so this e-Shram card, so you will get all the benefits from the government of India. This central directly it has been implemented. Okay, unfortunately, many village peoples, okay, many villages, rural side, said they doesn't know this scheme. So if you are coming from rural backgrounds, you can inform your parents or other your colleagues and everybody, so that they can get registered here and then they will get directly avail the benefit of e-Shram. So that is the one thing initiated by the central government. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, panel here. So I hope now you guys are ready for your questions from our side. Well, so we will keep it for later, and we had a wonderful, fruitful discussion here, and I think this would bring us to the close of this panel discussion, and we will move forward with the rest of the proceedings for the event. Handing over to you, Maria and Sri.
Thank you, sir. A heartfelt gratitude to all the panelists for this enlightening as well as informative discussion. It is now time to recognize and celebrate the bright minds who participated in the pre-budget express competition. Out of the 15 teams, we have 2 winning teams each from the PG management, from the UG management as well as the UG commerce, a testament to their outstanding insights and analytical skills. I now invite Dr. Shubha Chandra, the head of the Department of Commerce and Management, to hand over the awards to the winning teams. And I also call upon the winners one by one. From the PG department, may I call upon the first winning team, comprising Lieutenant Colonel Prabhakar Bahuguna, Vishal Venkatesh, and Muhammad Farhan Zain Ji. Congratulations to the winning team. Now I would like to call upon the second winning team comprising myself, Lopamitra Chaudhary, Mai Vishal Rathod and K. Ashifur.